Um, Obviously, this past season was a difficult one, one that is in our rearview mirror. We made some really difficult decisions at the end of the season. We've worked together, myself, the front office, hiring some new staff members that we think are going to really help us moving forward. Obviously, Marcus Thames becomes our hitting coach. Mike Tozar moves into the assistant hitting coach. Those two guys will pair up, together, which makes what I think makes a good team moving forward. We have Grady Sizemore will become a major league coach, and he'll be kind of a hybrid coach. He'll do a lot of base running, a lot of outfield stuff, bunting, anywhere we need him. Drew Butera comes in as the catching coach. Extremely talented. Obviously, I have a history with Drew. I know his mind. I played for his father, and I think he's one of the up and coming minds in the game. So I'm looking forward for him, working with the catchers and the game planning and game management part of it that I thought we were really poor at last year. Matt Wise obviously comes in as the bullpen coach, assistant pitching coach. He was the main guy in Anaheim, and I think he's a great asset. He's going to be a great asset to our pitching. And then lastly, Jason Bourgeois, which he'll coach first base, and he'll be in charge of the outfield base running with Grady. Grady will be of help to him. And that's an area where I thought that we need to make, where I feel like we need to make significant improvements in 2024. So we'll have a couple of guys working that area, not just the outfield, but the base running I'm talking about. And hopefully run produce some more on that aspect. As far as anything that's going on right now, I think you guys have spoken to Getty. I'll open it up for questions. We've made a couple difficult decisions on our roster, but I'll leave it open to any other questions that you guys may have. Anyway, we all spoke to Marcus. Getty and I also spoke to him as well, separately, and he just said all the right things. I like the way his answers were constructed. They were crisp, they were fast. He had an idea of what he wanted to do. Obviously, I don't micromanage any of these areas, so whoever comes in these areas are, that's their baby. So he's coming in with a plan. He knows our deficiencies. He knows how we chase. He knows how I want to really improve the situational hitting aspect of our ball club. He had a plan for that. And obviously, Mike Tozar has a history with these guys now. Being that he was on our staff last year, he knows these guys well. So I think that's a good team. To take on our hitting, we need to improve there. Plain and simple. We need to. I'm not saying go out there and draw walks, but I am saying take them when they're given to us. And understand that every crooked number out there is probably there's a walk or two around every crooked number that's put on the board. So, he had a plan for all this, and he's got a strong presence. He's been in the big leagues for a while. He's worked with stars. He's worked with rookies. So we feel like he's the right guy for us moving forward. Tozar was probably 30–40% involved in that, and it wasn't consistent enough to really impact like I think he can impact. Obviously, Mike is an extremely talented guy. I put him in that position last year because he's extremely versatile. He controlled the running game, from the bench. He helped Eddie with the defensive stuff. He ran, him and Eddie ran, the position player spring training side of it. He's well versed in infield stuff, but he's got a knack for the hitting. And in talking to Chris, we feel like we got to have some clarity with our hitters. Marcus is obviously our main hitting guy. Mike is now his assistant. There's clarity there. We feel like, these two guys can lead us to many improvements, which we obviously need. But Mike is all in on the hitting, 100%. Will I use him for other stuff? I'm not sure at this point. I want him to focus on the hitting. That's a strength of his, and that's a developmental need on our end as well. So I think with Marcus' experience and what he's done, and having worked with superstars, having worked with rookies, and Mike's knowledge of the team, they make a good team. Collaborative effort. I mean, I really enjoyed the process. I don't think one person can make these type of decisions. I don't think it's healthy. I really don't. I think it's healthy to all of us sit in a room and listen to these guys and pepper these guys with questions and scenarios. And then after they're done, we need to share our thoughts and ideas. And and I can tell you they weren't easy. I mean, we interviewed some really, really good candidates for all of these positions. There's some good staff members out there, and it was great to hear their thoughts and ideas. But at the end of the day, we got together and we came up with these guys, and these guys I feel like are really going to help us moving forward. I mean, we've covered a lot of areas. There's an area, the base running is an area that I think is extremely important to us, and it's massive. It's big. It's every single player. It's 30 guys in spring training. It's 13 guys during the season, and most of the time, the guy who runs that area is one guy, and he's most of the time he's on the bases. So as you follow the baseball, how are you watching our primaries and secondaries? And when we do our I had our R&D department do an audit on our club, and I have them do it periodically. But at the end of the season, when the audit came back, we were fourth worst in primary leads. We were in the bottom of the barrel in total lead, in total feet per lead, like total leads, like 13.8 feet. The Dodgers were first at 15.5, so that's a foot and a half. When you look at it, that's a foot. And every time we go to the phone on a replay, it's 2, 3, 4 inches. We're talking about 18, 19 inches away from the team that's leading the league in total lead. So I know I'm rambling on this, but this is an area that I feel like we desperately needed to improve in, and hiring Jason and Grady to really attack this area is going to make a start. Having been here a year already and having been able to, obviously nobody wants to go through 101 losses, okay? But I've said this over and over again that this adversity is education. This has been, this has been more than an education for me. The good thing is that I know this organization pretty well now. I know the personnel. I know I kind of have a feel of what we need to develop, and so does Chris, and so does the front office. So we're working together to just to make sure that that we get this right. I mean, we don't want to go through this again. So it's really important that we get the right guys on the staff, and we feel like we certainly did a really good job of identifying some really talented coaches, and we'll start putting it together here pretty soon and get ready for spring. This year in baseball and sports in general, it doesn't matter if it's professional sports, high school, or whatever it is. Like, whoever wants to talk to me about chemistry and tells me chemistry is not important, I'll debate that all day long. That's an accurate comment by Chris. I feel the same way. We have a lot of talented players. I, however, didn't like our team either. When we talk about a team, it's not about one guy or two or five. It's about 26 guys really loving to play with each other, when that bell rings. And we didn't have that. And I think it's our responsibility and my responsibility to, once we put the team together and this roster together and we head to spring training, to make sure that that chemistry is where it needs to be every time we step on that field. And I know that it's a massive, I know it's massive, and I know it's a big. There's a lot of things that we need to improve on, but the most important thing is making sure that every single guy we bring in here is in it for one reason and one reason only, and that's to help us, help us win a championship, whenever that may be. But we need 26 guys going to Chicago that want to play for each other and love to play with each other, every single time we step on the field. And that's the most important thing. I mean, if you ask me about, what did you learn this year? I learned a million things, right? But the one thing I stamped is that every time somebody raises a trophy at the end of the year, they talk about the love they have for each other. We're a family. We work hard together. We fight together. We go out together. Everything they do, is based around chemistry and really enjoying one another, playing this great game that we've been grateful to make a living out of. So I know it's massive. I hear you and I agree, but I think if we focus on that and we get to accomplish that, we're well on our way to where we want to go.
Chuck? Hey, Pedro, actually,
the culture was already in place. However, I had to make decisions on how I wanted to approach this thing. And I obviously made the wrong one. If I look back at it now, my approach would have been a little different when it came to, the culture and when it came to the discipline and, just how I approached it, really. There was two ways I could go. I could, trust the clubhouse and let's get this done because, we have guys that have been here a long time, or, come in and, drop the hammer without me knowing anybody, and there was only two ways to go, and I chose, I chose what I chose. I chose to, hey, we're all in this thing together. We have a culture here. We can't fracture it. And what happened, happened. I'm past that. I've learned from that. I know who I am. I know what I was born to do. And it's my responsibility to go do it, and I have a great staff. I've been talking to these guys the last couple of days and, they're excited. I'm excited to start working with them. The way I envision this is putting a staff like this together and then watching them go work. These guys have experience. They're tough. They know discipline. They know details, and that's a part of building something. So here we are. We got 9 guys that are with me. They're all in, and we're going to put a plan together, and I'm going to watch them get after it, and I'll do what I need to do on my end, which I have a pretty good idea what I need to do. But it didn't start off that way. We just identified guys that we felt had impeccable makeup, and as I started digging on these guys, and Chris started digging on these guys in our front office, one thing that I noticed is that these guys are like grinders. I mean, Grady Sizemore had 4 years in a row where he had 700 plate appearances. He's going to be able to bring something to the table when it comes to the mindset of get your ass out there and play. Drew Butera was a backup player that he actually played in teams that I was coaching on. I was his coach in Kansas City. And if we talk about a player that was always prepared to play, it was him. It didn't matter. The game was 2-1, and he was drawing a walk in that game we won, game 3 in Houston, that we were down 5-2, and he drew the walk that propelled us to kind of win that game and help us get to the World Series or catch the the last pitch of the World Series or a 10-0 game, he was always ready to play. So his preparation and the way he goes about it, he's going to be able to, to teach some of these guys that. Matt Weiss just finished working with, superstars out there in Anaheim. Marcus has got tremendous experience. He's worked with Judge and Stanton and Trout and Ohtani. And, he's also developed rookies in the big leagues. So Jason, which I actually really enjoyed my talk with Jason because he's been a minor league base running coordinator, outfield base running coordinator. So his ability to kind of put a plan together and a process together was really, really impressive to me. That's something that we desperately needed. So I feel like we've added 5 guys to this staff that are really solid makeup guys. There was no intention of like, okay, we're only going to get X big league guys. I don't really believe in that. I believe in you interview a ton of guys, and it just so happens that we interviewed guys that we identified as talented coaches, and then when we, they ended up having big league time. But we also interviewed some guys that didn't have big league time that were extremely talented as well. So, but each one of these guys brings a little different mindset to what they had to do, to play Major League Baseball for a long time and been in the game for a long time, which was really intriguing for me.